Are we able to hear, guys? I'm thinking we're just doing a test run for 2 minutes. Please let me know by show of hands if we are able to hear. Please let me know by show of hands. Right, we're going to be starting in another 2 minutes. I want to make sure that everything is fine. Sorry for any possible tech difficulties that might come up, guys. But I hope to have a meaningful session with you guys. Kindly requesting students not to create any sort of panic in the group, right? This is a session and we will be fine with it. If at all any issues are there, we will sort it one by one, but we will go on with the session. Another 1 more minute and we will go live with the session. Just quickly give me a show of hands, guys. How many of you from Career Launcher Hyderabad? Please type HYD. From Bangalore, please give me a BGLR. From Chennai, give me a CHN. And from any other place, give me a short name of your place. That will be appreciated. Abhinav, can you just refresh and tell me? Beautiful, guys. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to see all of you guys from different places. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will go live now at 7:30, guys, because I think the time is getting delayed. We start off with January current affairs. Right, so I hope you're able to see the video. My name is Bibin George Varghese. I take CLAT GK as well as I teach economics for civil service. I also work with the digital marketing team. Right, I've been teaching for CLAT and civil service as of now. Right, and we will have a meaningful session. Right, so January current affairs, guys, we quickly look at the different sessions that or the different topics that we have to cover. It will be very pinpoint. Please note the important lines and make notes of it. I would suggest that you make notes of it. Don't just read it. Of course, I'll share the PPT with you, but don't make just notes of it. Make sure that you guys also have some sort of a a points, a mind map that is made so that you're very, very clear on what is to be done for each of the topics. When you go for the last week of your CLAT preparation, you can just run through all these things and go through and see what is happening. Right? Okay, so we will start off. Are we able to see the first slide, guys? Well, yes, static GK, guys, please understand the trick of static GK. Static GK also includes questions based on static questions, like let's say history or geography, but those will be linked to the current affairs news. Always look for that. They will not randomly ask you any current affairs which is not included in this. Like for example, let's say they're asking about a Sabarmati Ashram, right? Please understand that Sabarmati Ashram they will not ask you unless the news has come up about it. And in June of 2017, Sabarmati Ashram celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2017. So the question that you can get is, when was Sabarmati Ashram established? Now you can't come back to me and say, sir, that was a static GK question, because that is a current affairs based static GK question, right? So, right, to start off with, I'm going to be opening up the first slide. Are we all clear, guys? IIM's autonomy. IIM's autonomy is the first slide that we're looking at. Right, I hope we are able to see this one. If not, if you're not able to see the stream, please kindly refresh the whole stream. Are we able to see it now, guys? Okay, IIM's autonomy. The first thing to understand is, guys, IIMs have been granted autonomy. They have the power to award degrees instead of diplomas to their graduates. Till date, these people were giving PGP program, postgraduate programs. The President Ramnath Kovind has assented his bill. That means the Lok Sabha has passed the bill, the Rajya Sabha has passed the bill. It is called as the Indian Institute of Management Bill, right? And finally the President with his assent makes a bill a law, and now it will be issued in the official Gazette of India, after which IIMs from next year onwards will be allowed to give an MBA degree, right? A lot of IIMs still want to think, what do they want to give? Do they want to give an IIM PGDM or do they want to give an IIM MBA? So there you go, the first news that we are clear about. Are we clear on this? Please understand, in terms of legal news, the first thing to understand is that the bill passes through the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha, and also finally given the President. So the Parliament here, guys, is consisting of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the President, not just the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So any bill that is passed has to go through both these houses and finally get the assent of the President. Unless, of course, it is a money bill. You know, in the case of money bill, what happens? In the case of money bill, with the recommendation of the President, it will be discussed and voted only in the Lok Sabha. It can be discussed and the points or the amendments that the Rajya Sabha wants can be shared with the Lok Sabha, but they cannot withhold the bill. If for 14 days they don't pass the bill and they withhold the bill, it is considered as passed without the Rajya Sabha's recommendations. Can we move on to the next slide, guys? Having said so, Assam NRC, National Register for Citizens. So every state generally has to have a National Register for Citizens. Specifically, this is important for states like Assam, for West Bengal, for Sikkim, and maybe states like Rajasthan, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, maybe little parts of Haryana, where there can be infiltration from the other countries. Right, now why has Assam had this? Because a lot of Bangladeshi, not Bengali guys, Bangladeshi refugees, they infiltrate into Assam and into West Bengal. Not so much into West Bengal, because there is an inner sentiment of having West Bengal as a Hindu state. So most of the Muslim people from Bangladesh, right, they would want to move to Assam where it is safe for them, and in the process of which now Assam government does not know how many illegal immigrants are there. And also eventually they want to give citizenship to few Bangladeshi immigrants who have been there in Assam for quite some time. So the first time that Assam actually put a national register for citizens was back in 1951, right? And nearly 32 years later, right, 32 years after the Assam Accord was signed, was the first updated national register for citizens. Now what happened is, after 1951, so many years have passed. How many years have passed? Probably about 68 years or 67 years. So now is the time when the Assam government realized that they have to make some sort of a census, right? Some sort of a count as to how many citizens are there in terms of Indian citizens, and if it is Bangladeshi infiltration or refugees that are there, they should be either granted citizenship or they should be treated in a particular way so as to have an identity. Because if not, we will have a lot of resources being used, and majorly the problems are economical rather than political. Now they have updated it again this year in January to find out the actual count of people. Now the next news, guys, is the Nari portal. Nari, we all understand. In Hindi, Nari means woman, right? So the ministry or the Minister of Women and Child Development, that is Srimati Maneka Gandhi, has inaugurated the online portal called as Nari. Now what is this used for, guys? This will be used for providing women information on issues affecting their lives. Now this does not have to mean only economic issues. This can be any issues related to health, nutrition, sanitation, childbirth, pregnancy. What are the different schemes that the government has for them? What are the different central government and state government schemes that are there? All this will now be provided on an online portal. Now please understand, this is a part of various initiatives. The government has actually classified initiatives into various groups. Now this is a part of Digital India initiative and also initiatives for the development of women. And women empowerment being such a big important part of the sustainable development goals of UN, you will see a lot of the news of last year September onwards till this year March will have initiatives taken up for women. One of them is the Nari portal. Please understand, look at the government, the ministry which has created this, and also what is it used for. Are we able to understand, guys? Now the next thing that we have to look at is new state emblem for West Bengal. Yes, it is a crazy thing. I would strongly recommend against it, but I have nothing in terms of the governance or the government that is doing it, but it is definitely against the integrity of India is what I feel. There you go, new state emblem for West Bengal. It's a very opinionated statement that I made, guys. Maybe the state needs it, but I would still say that being a part of India, we have our national emblem. And having said this, specifically West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has unveiled the official emblem of the state. Okay, and this has been recently approved by the central government. Right now, what does it highlight? Please notice that this emblem has the Ashoka pillar on it, and in the center it writes Biswa Bangla. Right, in the center it writes Biswa Bangla, and this was designed by Miss Banerjee herself. Bhargav, can you please just refresh your stream, please? Even Radio Jockey, can you please refresh your stream? Yes, Nikhil, Karnataka also has got a state flag. They're looking for a state flag. State emblem, I'm not too sure of. State flag is what they have. They have actually pushed for. And yes, what I would say is that though each state needs a minimum amount of autonomy, I still abide by the fact that the tricolor should be our identity across states. Anyways, having said that, please note the important things. West Bengal, the emblem, what has it got on the center, who designed it, and has the center approved or not approved. The next one is Karnataka and the Lingayat issue. While this is a highly politicized issue, right, the Lingayat issue says that a particular sect of Hindus, as a particular caste of Hindus, the government in Karnataka appointed a panel to have separate religious status for the Lingayats and the Veer Shaivas. Now half of the people, they want it, the other people don't want it. There's a lot of push behind it, but the important thing to understand is Lingayat is a distinct Shaivite. Shaivite means they are from the Shiva faith. Vaishnavite means they follow Vishnu, right? So Lingayat is a distinctive Shaivite religion and tradition, and Lingayatism was founded by Basava and spread by his followers known as Sharanas. This could be a possible static GK question that can come up. Please remember this, guys. Karnataka and the Lingayat issue, Lingayat or the other name is Veer Shaivas. It is synonymously used. And Lingayatism was founded in 12th century, and it is important thing is the statesman who made it is Basava and the followers called as Sharanas. That is the important things. The next thing to understand, guys, is the IBC, which is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Are we seeing the slide, guys? Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Right, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is now at the Rajya Sabha. Do any of you remember what the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code was started for? Can you quickly give me a raise of hands as to why Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code was started? Quickly tell me, guys, what issue led to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code? Okay, I don't think all of us are aware of it, guys. Do you remember our famous Vijay Mallya? So Vijay Mallya had taken a lot of loans from the banks, and the problem was, guys, we had something called as a SARFAESI Act in 2002 that was brought in. The only problem is that the SARFAESI Act did not have enough teeth to prosecute the people who actually pulled all this money out of the banks, and also that the problem ensued after they come to know that there is no fixed deadline for pulling out these people, either as a bankrupt person or making him pay the money. So you have laws in India which don't have teeth. So which is why the government was not able to prosecute Mallya while he was here. And now what happened? The guy is safely sitting in London. So now the important thing is that the government is passing an Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which says that any such issues that come up to a board that is being created, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, therefore it should make sure that within 180 days the solution is done. If they have to declare bankruptcy, you can declare bankruptcy. If you want to make the person pay the money because he's a willful defaulter, that has to be done. Or if there are big companies with a lot of money who want to invest their money into these debt-ridden industries and save them, automatically what happens? These people can save the companies, and in the process the banks can retrieve the money from these rich investors who will invest their money into these companies. So therefore this bill was started off in 2016, and then the Rajya Sabha amended this little bit here and there because it had to have new versions, have a very strong structure, and now what has happened is they have passed it. Now very simple, what does it want to do? It wants to build a robust and faster insolvency resolution mechanism. Right? The PNB fraud happened afterwards. PNB has got nothing to do with insolvency and bankruptcy, Krishnan, because PNB was an actual fraud. We will discuss that a little later. I think we discussed that when we did the budget session, when we talked about the LOU and the SWIFT transaction. But here, please understand, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India was a separate body made which had members from the RBI also. Now there's a greater participation of RBI members because they are the ones regulating the banks. Now the problem is, when these guys have such kind of representation, they can actually catch hold of these people who have defaulted and either tell them, one, you declare by yourself bankrupt and let me sell off all your assets if possible, or you consider yourself a willful defaulter, at which level I prosecute you. Yes, it is applicable even to the PNB fraud, as in the person has not paid money. But the extra thing that is there in the PNB fraud is also that the money which was issued, 11,400 crores, was not given with the consent of PNB. It was falsified, and it was done at the behest of certain managers and certain employees by sending a SWIFT transaction against the will of PNB to banks like Allahabad Bank and also to Syndicate Bank branches abroad, that is in Singapore. So please understand, Nirav Modi's case has got two problems. One, Nirav Modi is not able to pay the money back, and second thing, even before this, such a huge amount of money was issued to Nirav Modi and his associates only through a fraud, which means Punjab National Bank did not do it willfully. But in the case of Vijay Mallya, this was done willfully. Are we able to understand, guys? Having said so, The next thing you have to remember, are we able to hear everything, guys? Yes, so please understand that in relation to section 138 or willful defaulters, that we will deal in detail, guys, but this was first to understand that if you have a case of bankruptcy, how fast can you finish or solve that case? Or the problem is you will lag and lag and lag till the person either leaves the country or the person has used up all the assets that he had through something else. And one more important thing to understand is under the new code, the amended code, the employees and workmen will have the first right during liquidation of assets. Liquidation of assets means I sell off your properties and I retrieve money to pay back people who I owe money to. Right? And what happened is initially they said that first you should pay off the people who are your creditors or your investors. But here now the new code has said what? During liquidation of assets, first the employees and workmen has to be paid and then the secured creditors have to be paid. The next doubt that we will go to, guys, related to section 138, Rohit Shivkumar, we will get back to you after the session. Let us continue with the session. With respect to the section 138, we will talk about it in detail, right? Having said so, guys, let's see, are you able to see the slides now? I hope you are able to see the slides now properly, right? Moving on. Just a minute, guys, we will just, give me just a split second. Alright. The next one is the Golden Telangana. Golden Telangana is a project that the government wants to bring in. Now the Golden Telangana project seemed to bring, if you look at the Golden Telangana project, are you able to see the slides, guys? Golden Telangana project. Are we able to see the Golden Telangana project, guys? Alright, so the Golden Telangana project is one among those things. Why is it called Golden Telangana? Simple, because it is an approach to help reach the goal of Golden Telangana, that is the era of the Kakatiyas. If you remember, Kakatiyas and Rashtrakutas were one of those important dynasties that were there in the history of the Andhra Pradesh region. Andhra and little bit of Tamil Nadu, the northern part, was often ruled by these important dynasties. The lower part of Tamil Nadu, if you require, was by the Cholas and the Pandyas. Right? So the Telangana became the first state in the country to supply free 24-hour electricity to the agriculture sector, as the scheme came into effect from January 1st, 2018. Right, so now what are they trying to do? They're trying to be, so if you remember, guys, back in the days during Akbar's time or any of those dynasties, a lot of free things were given to people. Right, so as a part of that, Telangana also wanted to give free 24-hour electricity, not for domestic use but for only the agriculture sector, so that they can run machinery that is used for irrigation or for sowing of seeds or for drilling or for plowing, all these things. Now this is an approach by the government to help reach the goal of a Golden Telangana, that's the era of the Kakatiyas. Right? Can we move on, guys? That is why the project is called Golden Telangana, because it is a young state and the government wants to promote such kind of initiatives, because they have to make sure and show that though they have asked for a separate state, the development is on a higher pace. Alright, so the next one is Telangana Finance Commission. Telangana Finance Commission. Right, so starting off Telangana Finance Commission, guys, the State Finance Commission was formed as a constitutional body reviewing financial positions of the local bodies. Please understand, guys, the country's National Finance Commission is constituted every 5 years. Now, the Finance Commission, what does it do? It tells or advises the particular government how much of money in form of taxes or whatever the government receives in forms of service charges should be divided across the center and the states. So similarly, the State Finance Commission will advise the state government on how much of the money that the state government receives should it divide between the state government and the local self-government. Local self-government means what? The corporation, the municipalities and the panchayats. Now, important part to understand is Article 243 of the Indian Constitution, prescribing that the governor of a state shall constitute a finance commission to review the financial position of the panchayats, and this happens every 5 years. So just like I said, guys, the State Finance Commission is for reviewing the financial condition of panchayats and advising the state government, while the National Finance Commission, that is constituted by the central government as a constitutional body, right? It will advise the central government on how to divide the revenue that the central government gets and divide it among the center and the states. Having said so, we go to the next important slide. Very important, guys. Why? Because Arunachal Pradesh right, this is Arunachal Pradesh becomes ODF. ODF means open defecation free. Have you seen it, guys? Arunachal Pradesh becomes open defecation free. Alright. Now Arunachal Pradesh is the second state all around India in terms of the northeast to become open defecation free. The first state in the northeast is Sikkim, and please understand, till date there are 11 ODF states in India. There are 11 ODF states in India, and among them the second one in the particular ODF, which is a particular ODF, the ODF means open defecation free. Second such state in the northeast is Arunachal Pradesh. Are we able to understand, guys? Having said so, right, the next thing to remember is that ODF is under the umbrella. Defecation basically means when you, the defecation means you excrete outside your house. Defecation is basically when you excrete waste, human waste, and open defecation means you defecate in the open, out in the open. Alright, so yes, coming back to your question, the question is that the first state of ODF in South India is Kerala. The first state overall for ODF is Sikkim, and then it was Himachal Pradesh and Kerala. These were the first states that came up. Please understand, this was in 2016 and in 2017. Having said so, please remember this becomes the second open defecation stage. This is the point to be remembered. This is the related news that we have. Moving on, guys, there's a very important topic that we have. Yahya, we will tell you what all the states are. Please ping me after the session. We will just move on to the slides because we have a lot to complete. We will discuss all the 11 states. India and ASEAN. Please understand, guys, very important in terms of India and ASEAN. I'll teach you shortcuts to remember how the slides had to be by hearted. Listen, now ASEAN, if for you to understand, is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Now the different countries which are a part of the ASEAN, I'll teach you a shortcut to remember this. Listen very carefully. You start off with the easternmost neighbor of India. Tell me, what is the easternmost neighbor? Can you quickly type in what the easternmost neighbor of India is? What is the easternmost neighbor of India, guys? Quickly type it and tell me. Easternmost neighbor, guys. Don't go for countries which are inside the Indian states. Easternmost neighbor. Beautiful Asma, Myanmar. Right? Yes, guys. Myanmar is the first state. The next state is a four-letter. The next state is a four-letter country, or the next country is a four-letter country starting with L. Starting with L. Beautiful. Laos. So you have Myanmar and Laos. Next country to remember is the biggest Hindu temple is in this country. Biggest Hindu temple. Biggest Hindu temple. Beautiful. Cambodia is the next one. Cambodia is the next one. So now you know Myanmar, Laos and Cambodia. Now the next country to remember. Next country to remember is Indian Bachelor's Paradise. Indian Bachelor's Paradise. Indian Bachelor's Paradise. Absolutely, good job. All the girls seem to be knowing where the Indian guys ka Bachelor's Paradise are. Correct. Thailand. Superb. I get all the people saying that is the one answer everyone has known. So next thing you'll remember is top 3 countries where Indian family goes for tour. Indian family goes for tour. Quickly, guys. Malaysia, beautiful. One more, 2 more. I need 2 more. Singapore, absolutely. Malaysia, Singapore, and 1 more. Indian families honeymoon. Indian couples honeymoon. Yes, Indian couples honeymoon is Indonesia or Bali. Good job. So I have now started off with easternmost neighbor of India, Myanmar, country with 4-letter in L, Laos, biggest temple in India, Cambodia, Indian Bachelor's Paradise is Thailand, and 3 countries where Indian family goes for tour or for honeymoon is Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Now the next country is the only friend of US in that area. Only friend of US in that area, Philippines. The only friend of US in that area, Philippines. Right? Now the other country is US had a big war with this country. US had a big war with this country. Please go for US had a big war with this country. Back in the days, US had a big war with this country, 1960s or 70s. Super Vietnam. And the last country is a small country with the name starting with B, lot of oil resources, the king wears golden clothes. Absolutely, Brunei. So let us quickly go, guys. India's easternmost neighbor is Myanmar. 4-letter word country starting with L. And then you have the biggest temple in the world, Cambodia. And then you have Indian Bachelor's Paradise. 3 countries where Indian family goes for tour. US's best friend in the Southeast Asian place. US had a war with this country. And last of all, biggest oil resources, small country starting with B, king wears gold. That's it, guys. So India and ASEAN, it is very, very important. First thing is the 5th Roundtable of Association of Southeast Asian Nations. India's network of think tanks happened in Jakarta and Sushma Swaraj inaugurated it. And the 3 C's of the ties of ASEAN. Please remember, guys, all these are questions you can get. 3 C's of the ties with ASEAN are commerce, connectivity and culture. And please remember these important points. By heart them and think of them. ASEAN is India's 4th largest trading partner. And India is ASEAN's 7th largest trading partner. Right, and important things to understand for India and ASEAN. Please remember, Republic Day guests were the heads of the 10 ASEAN countries in this year. And also ASEAN India Pravasi Bharatiya Divas at Singapore was inaugurated by Nitin Gadkari, the Minister of Transport, Shipping, Ganga Water Rejuvenation. This is why ASEAN is so important this year, because it has been 25 years since a partnership with ASEAN and 50 years of the formation of ASEAN. Right, are we clear with this, guys? Can we move to the next slide quickly? Have you taken down these things? Very, very important. Republic Day guests, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas at Singapore, inaugurated by Nitin Gadkari. 25 years of partnership with ASEAN, 50 years of formation of ASEAN, 10 ASEAN countries. I hope you remember all the 10 ASEAN countries. Moving on to the next slide, guys. Israel and UNESCO. Sad news, Israel will be withdrawn from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization effective from 31st of December 2018. Why? Because the organization criticized Israel's occupation in East Jerusalem, and it also went and gave full membership to Palestine. So Israel and Palestine have some political and religious rifts because of extensive wars that have been happening here. So Israel and UNESCO could not go together, and therefore UNESCO, which is headquartered in Geneva in Switzerland, has decided to withdraw Israel on a mutual basis from December 31st, 2018. Remember, guys, Israel, UNESCO, and the reason why it is moving and effective on 31st of December 2018. US is friends with Israel, Israel being the place where the Christianity's roots are there. That is why it doesn't matter with whom it is. Palestine is heavily supported by the Muslim countries because it is a Muslim stronghold. Guys, we will not discuss any political things here. We will just discuss news. Please understand. I don't want to create anything except the news. Okay guys, so in the meanwhile, let's move on to the next slide. Right? Okay, yes, Lekha, sorry. Despite the other UN institutions, that is WTO and all that, the UN institution of UNESCO is headquartered in Paris. Sorry, Lekha, that's one point I messed up. Sorry for that. UNESCO is in Paris. Moving on, guys, CBDT relaxes MAT, that is minimum alternate tax firms facing insolvency. So CBDT is Central Board of Direct Taxes. The Department of Revenue under the Finance Ministry is divided into two: Central Board of Direct Taxes and Central Board of Excise and Customs. Please remember this: Central Board of Excise and Customs have now become Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So it has become CBIC. CBEC has become CBIC. Excise has been changed into indirect taxes. Right? So it's CBIC. Now here if you look at it, CBDT means when we have to pay a direct tax to the government. Now this can be in the form of a corporate tax, income tax, or here in this case minimum alternate tax. So what is this minimum alternate tax? Right, so please understand that the minimum alternate tax is a tax that had been given to the particular companies which ended up saying that no sir, we are not making any profit, so therefore we don't have any taxes. So specifically for all these small industries and the online companies, what happened is that initially these companies refrained from paying taxes. So the government told them, why don't you end up paying some more money, right? Let's end up paying some more money or taking these people to task because they are going to refrain from paying taxes. And you should understand that only 1% of the Indians pay income tax, right? When such a low percent is there, the government will try a lot of ways to make sure that at least a certain minimum amount of tax is being paid. Right, so having said that, the minimum alternate tax introduced in 1987 was reintroduced in 1996. Right, the minimum alternate tax was introduced in 1987, reintroduced in 1996, and the basic objective of minimum alternate tax is to bring into the tax net zero tax companies. Yeah, MAT is not applicable. Is it applicable for government companies? It depends on if the government companies are under the purview of MAT or not. A particular amount of money is what you have to look at. So if your income is above 250 crores, you remember when we had done the budget session, we had discussed that initially it was only 50 crores, but now 250 crores also, up to that 25% is what we have to pay as corporate tax. But a lot of companies don't show this, saying that they are very small companies. Central Board of Direct Tax, Sejasri, it is not Director's Tax, it is Central Board of Direct Taxes. Right? So CBDT means all the taxes that you pay as a part of the revenue or the income that you generate. And the indirect taxes and customs are the kind of taxes you pay when what happens? When you make a purchase. It does not matter how much money you earn. Every time you make a purchase or use this particular service of a government or of a private entity, you end up paying a tax. Right? Having said this, we will move on, guys. Please look at it. CBDT relaxes MAT on firms facing insolvency. That means if you are facing insolvency or a company is about to shut down, they will not ask you to pay tax immediately. You will be given some levy of time. Well, what comes under government companies? Companies which have wholly owned by the government, or they have a subsidiary which is owned by the government partially or fully. There are certain government companies which are owned partially, and there are certain government companies wholly owned. The next thing is what we discussed already, guys. Rupees 10 is chocolate. Rupees 10 is chocolate. New rupees 10 notes will have chocolate brown color. Please remember, we had already discussed this in the budget session. The denominational numeral is written in Devanagari script. Please understand the new Mahatma Gandhi note. Please understand the new Mahatma Gandhi note is what comes after demonetization. These are the new notes of the Mahatma Gandhi series, right? And this had Mahatma Gandhi in the center. Also remember what is there behind it. The important part is it will carry a motif of the Konark Sun Temple instead of the rhinoceros, the tiger and the elephant. The rhinoceros, tiger and the elephant was there in the old note, whereas in the new note you will have the Konark Sun Temple that is there. The note is already in circulation and it has been introduced ever since January. Now going on, guys, the next is GAIL. GAIL is gas. Hello, are we, there's a small, are we able to hear, guys? Is there a small disturbance? Are we able to hear? All right. This, are we able to hear now, guys? Alright, so Gas Authority of India Limited is a state-owned gas utility. So they make liquefied petroleum gas or CNG. All these gases are made by them and has commissioned the country's second largest rooftop solar power plant. Okay, such kind of questions as to ranking, second largest, second biggest, longest, tallest, first rank, all these things are very, very important in terms of CLAT, guys. Right, so installed at this petrochemical complex in Pata in Uttar Pradesh. So please note, Pata, Uttar Pradesh, GAIL, second largest solar power plant which is on the rooftop. This is done by GAIL India Limited. GAIL is Gas Authority of India Limited. Next one is very, very important, guys. Chhattisgarh and BharatNet. Chhattisgarh and BharatNet. Are we able to see the slide, guys? Chhattisgarh and BharatNet. Chhattisgarh is the first state in the country to use ultra-modern ring architecture technology to connect village panchayats by optical fiber. If you remember in my budget session, I told you what is BharatNet. They want to connect 1 lakh gram panchayats by using internet, optical fiber internet, and making sure that by the time we do our YouTube live sessions, there won't be any internet problems, and I will also be using BharatNet if at all it works properly. But for that I have to go to the gram panchayat, and sitting in Chennai, I don't think I'll get access to it. Okay, moving on from that very bad joke, I will move on to the next topic. Men is equal to woman in Iceland. Are we able to see, guys? Men is equal to woman in Iceland. Iceland makes it first country to make it illegal to pay men more than women, which means that for equal work that is done, equal pay has to be given. Right? So the legislation which took place on the 1st of January 2018 means that larger firms will have to prove that their male staff is not paid more than their female employees or it will face fines. Right? Please understand, this is what has happened. Right? So earlier all the companies, they always paid men more. But over the period of time, Iceland has become the first country, also because of gender equality. It is first on the set. It is first on gender equality as well. So please understand that with WEF, World Economic Forum's list of gender equal countries, Iceland ranks the first. WEF headquarters is in Davos. Please remember, if you have to remember, just remember that Shah Rukh Khan was recently honored at the Davos WEF meeting. The next thing is, guys, no limits in Uganda. No limits in Uganda. Uganda's Yoweri Museveni has signed a law, that's a bill removing the presidential age limit. Please understand, guys, companies all around the world, countries all around the world are looking to retain power. That means the governments don't want to step down, because these countries have retained some sort of stability and the government wants to retain control. So other countries in this list are, guys, China has passed a law, Russia has been having a president for a very long time, and eventually you'll also see that Ecuador has also removed a law which says that presidential re-election should be done, which means the current president wants to stay on for a longer time. Right? Is it fine? Is it not fine that the Supreme Court will be able to help? But as of now, the countries like Uganda, Ecuador, China and Russia have brought in this kind of a rule so that they can stabilize the kind of rule that is there and have people in their power as long as they want. Right? Now this thing will make sure that in Uganda, the 6th run is expected of this presidency in 2021. Is Russia pushing for something? We do not know, because Russia has been having the same president for the past 14 years, if I am not wrong. Right, having that, moving to the next slide, bird language of Turkey, which is really funny, which is very ironic. Bird language of Turkey, Turkey being a bird as well. Okay, on a very different note, the bird language of Turkey is a very unusual and very efficient whistle language used as a means of communication by villagers in remote northern Turkey. Now this has entered into UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. Please understand, UNESCO has a list of tangible cultural heritage and intangible cultural heritage. Tangible is the buildings and the monuments or any remains of historic importance which can be touched and felt. And intangible cultural heritage are things like ideas or festivals or languages or songs or any sort of cultural things which cannot be touched and felt. So there are natural heritage also and cultural heritage as well. In cultural, there is tangible and intangible. Moving on, guys, we already discussed in the budget session, Saudi and UAE, first Gulf countries in the GCC to go for VAT, that is value added tax, because their petroleum and their tourism is not just enough to help them through this kind of a economic crisis that they have, because they have been taking care of their people and giving too many resources, but over a period of time they have forgotten to invest. And for the first time, these countries, among the other 4 countries also, who have proudly said that they will not be having any taxes and have a lot of free service for citizens, are now moving towards having taxes to sustain their economy. Right? This is the latest in the series of measures made by Gulf oil producers. One thing was to arrest all particular ministers and princes. If you remember, Saudi had arrested and house arrested a lot of people on the level of bribery charges, because they understood that people were taking a lot of money out of the system just for the sake of feeding their own benefits and their own richness. And having said this, the 6 countries of GCC are Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman. Okay, now moving on, guys. Yes, it is because of a dip in the oil industry and also that they are running out of oil resources. There are a few countries that are still rich, but there are a lot of countries that are still in this GCC which are running out of oil resources. Moving on, guys, NASA has no retirement at 60. NASA doesn't want to retire. NASA has decided to go crazy and go for the next project that it wants to, because NASA has now looked at launching a slew of important missions, the important one being Parker's solar probe. What is it going to do? It's going to explore the sun's outer atmosphere in 2018. Please remember this, guys. NASA, it's turning 60 in 2018. Slew of important missions. Parker solar probe, explore sun's outer atmosphere. That's all you have to remember. 4 important points. Your mind map should have these 4 important points. Are we good? Next one is Google's Tachytron 2. Google's Tachytron 2 is the next text-to-speech system, guys. What it's trying to do is it is trying to match the voice of humans. So basically from now onwards, you will have machines speaking exactly like human beings. Of course, the initial phases we have already seen in Alexa or Siri, right? But having said that, they will also have now a particular system which will make sure that people in the world will find their equivalent voice being spoken by machines. Right? It is done by an AI generated computer speech that matches the voice of humans. So please remember Google's Tachytron 2, artificial intelligence, text to speech, it can match the voice of humans. Please guys, remember that NASA is turning 60, not its employees. Yes, thank you so much, Rohit. Please understand, it is not about 100-year-old guy. It is about the employees will being still young, but the organization growing to its 60th anniversary. Moving on to the next one, once in a blue moon. We have heard this usage, right? Once in a blue moon. Why is it being said like that? Because in January what happened is a rare total lunar eclipse. A solar eclipse is different from a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is when the moon comes and covers the earth. Therefore the lunar eclipse has come in and it is popularly referred to as a blue moon, and it happens only in 150 years. We used to say just like a comet happens once in 76 years, but a blue moon happens once in 150 years, and the first eclipse of 2018 was this. Please understand, in the side of Indian subcontinent, the Middle East and the Eastern Europe, towards our side, the eclipse were already be underway as the moon rises. Only the western side could probably see it properly, but this is where the once in a blue moon phrase has come from, because only once in 150 years this happens, and this is the second full moon of the month. Generally there's only one full moon that happens in a cycle, but here it is 2 full moons that happens, and the second one is formed as an eclipse, and therefore it is called as blue moon. Next is railways plus something called as Gagan. Please remember guys, railways plus Gagan. Right? The Railway Ministry in collaboration with ISRO is now forming a real-time train information system. They want to know where these trains are. Right? Where exactly, like a GPS. So what are they doing? They're going to track this using something called as a Gagan. Gagan's full form is GPS aided geo-augmented navigation system. Please remember, GPS aided geo-augmented navigation system based device on locomotives, because a lot of train accidents are happening and they want to reduce or mitigate it. Therefore, Gagan, that is a GPS system in line with the ISRO, will be brought in by the Railway Ministry. So I want your mind map to read Indian Railways plus Gagan, ISRO and real-time train information system to prevent or reduce the number of accidents. It helps in real-time tracking of trains. Quickly guys, sports in shorts. The sports minister launched the simple yet vibrant Khelo India logo at the Nehru Stadium. Right, the three-stroke Khelo India logo was designed by Ogilvy India. Ogilvy and Mather is an advertising agency in India, and Ogilvy and Mather is the one that does the ads for Coca-Cola and top brands in the world. Right, so Ogilvy was now, please look at the logo also guys, they have made a very dynamic logo. And also remember, Meghalaya has signed the host city contract for conducting the 39th national games in 2022. This is a very, very important thing guys, because they will not ask you currently about the national games, but in 2022 Meghalaya will be the host city and it has signed the contract with the Indian Olympic Association. Right, having said that, next one guys is the miscellaneous news, because it doesn't come so much into any particular section. The Border Security Force has launched Operation Alert. Please remember, Operation Alert by Border Security Force. It is in the international border of Jammu and Kashmir. International border of Jammu and Kashmir. Please remember this. Border Security Force, BSF, which is not the army, it is a paramilitary force. Right, now they have launched something called as a Operation Alert. So the next thing to understand is the Oki, this first severe cyclone storm in almost 40 years. Please understand guys, these names for different cyclones, hurricanes and typhoons are given by different regions. There is a cyclone naming mechanism that is there, where each area where the cyclone happens around the world is divided into 9 different sections, and in this part where South Asia, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Nepal are all involved, Sri Lanka are all involved, they get to name in rotation the name of the cyclone. Oki in Bengali means the eye, because it was a very fast cyclone, very powerful one, where the eye rested on the Bengal or the Bangladesh coast for quite some time. Oki means the eye. Please understand, the eye of the cyclone means the middle part guys. Please understand, the cyclone is turning and twisting. The middle part is where the place is, that is where the eye is called, and this was named by the Bangladesh government this time, by the Bangladesh Meteorological Authority. In rotation, India had named the previous one as Varda. Are we able to understand guys? Alright, having said so, please understand, I have also put some details about how much of a depression it had caused across Southwest Bay of Bengal and intensified in a cyclone off the coast. The whole process is not important guys, but finally it traveled up to the Gujarat coast. Yes, it went to the Gujarat coast, it traveled. If you remember, Bangalore had some intense rains in the last part of December and the first part of January. That is because Oki passed off on Chennai and went through Bangalore and hit the western coast. Chennai did not for this time, thank God, go through this, because the last 2 times we had a hell of a time. There was no electricity, there was a lot of flood and there was a lot of destruction that was there. This time Chennai escaped, because as it passed through Chennai, the particular intensity had come down. Now miscellaneous, one more thing guys, very important, a severe winter storm called as the bombogenesis or bomb cyclone froze pipes and disrupted services at refineries in the US Atlantic coast. Please understand, in the eastern side of US, that's in the places like New York, right, in Washington DC and around that place, there was a particular bomb cyclone. Why is it called as a bomb cyclone? Because it intensifies rapidly like a nuclear bomb. Like once it blows up, it again keeps on intensifying. Right, having said that, two things to remember: Mali has a new PM and India's new foreign secretary. Very, very important, guys. Mali's new PM is this particular name. I rather not tell it because I'll mess it up. Is Saumielu Bubie Maiga as the new PM. Please remember the name. And also Vijay Gokhla, an officer with formidable experience in China and East Asian neighborhood, is becoming his next foreign secretary, replacing S. Jaishankar. S. Jaishankar quite efficient as a foreign secretary, but he will be replaced after his time of retirement because he already... Please understand that Jaishankar worked on a lot of important things, but like I said, his extension had already been done, and after his extension, he is now set to retire, and Vijay Gokhale will be the officer who will replace him. Two important names to be understood, guys. And Harba from Himmat. I have read Harba from Himmat because the Pakistan Navy has successfully test fired the indigenously developed Harba naval cruise missile after launching it from a newly commissioned fast attack vessel. So please understand, Harba is the name of the missile and Himmat is the name of the vessel. The vessel means the ship which carries these weapons. PNS, just like INS, PNS is Pakistan Navy service, like Indian Navy service. Right, and PNS Himmat is the name of the vessel or the ship that carried it. Having said that, guys, there's a Michigan strain in Jaipur. So please understand, 100 cases of H1N1 influenza. H1N1 influenza has been recorded in Jaipur. Right. So H1N1, what happened is a sudden spike is there in the number of cases, and that is because of something called a particular strain of virus called as the Michigan strain. So please remember what Michigan strain is and where it hit. Michigan strain is in Jaipur and Rajasthan, and it is because of a particular virus, that is the H1N1 influenza. The next one is Braille Day. The World Braille Day is celebrated every year on January 4th. Please remember, guys, to commemorate the contribution of Louis Braille for blind people. I'm sure you have all learned his story of how he, by mistake, while cutting a piece of leather, pushed the knife by mistake into his eye, and that's where he introduced this particular day for, or the particular language for the blind people. Braille Day, please remember, World Braille Day, January 4th. No particular theme, guys, not a particular theme at least this year. Now next thing is the women pilgrims. Women pilgrims. The center has now first time decided to allow women pilgrims over the age of 45 to undertake pilgrimage in group of at least 4. San the Mehram. Right, Mehram is generally the person who takes like a group leader, or till now women pilgrims who were there had to be accompanied by their husbands during the annual pilgrimage. Right, the women pilgrims can now be not accompanied by their husbands or the mehrams. Are we able to understand? So please understand that mehram basically is somebody like a group leader or somebody in your family who can take you around, right? So this is like, it could be, let's say, your father, your mother, or it could be father-in-law or brother-in-law, whoever it be. Having said that, guys, next one, let's move to the next slide. We will do about 10 more slides. Is it okay, guys? Can we just do 10 more slides? We are on the verge of on the serious note. So can we do about 10 more slides, guys? If that is okay with you guys, quickly give me a yes. Alright, super. I'm sorry for taking your time. I know you guys are hungry, but let's quickly do this. Haryana has achieved the distinction of becoming the first state in the country to launch high-risk pregnancy portal. High-risk pregnancy portal, guys, please remember, why is it important? Because women in these areas are not given any sort of care or nutrition or any sort of help. Now, the important thing is, once this high-risk pregnancy portal has been formed, the portal will help in identification of not only high-risk pregnancy but also ensuring that the timely referrals to civil hospitals for further management and delivery by specialists is done. Meaning, please understand, women who are being pregnant, they have to have a person near them. They have to be given certain amount of nutrition, and a high-risk pregnancy means that in the event of pregnancy, either the mother will die or the child will die after being born, or the child will be born dead. When the child is born dead, it is called as a stillbirth. Please remember, high-risk pregnancy portal, Haryana first state in the country to launch this. What is it used for? And also remember, what is the difference between infant mortality and stillbirth? Infant mortality is after the child has been born, the child passes away, and stillbirth is the child is born dead in the mother's womb. Moving on to the next slide, guys. Virtual ID. So now, because everyone is failing to show their ID card and Aadhaar card, and because there is right to privacy issues, the government has now told that the DAI, that is the Unique Identification Authority of India, introduced the concept of virtual ID, where the Aadhaar card holder can generate from the website. Basically, you get a virtual ID like a temporary OTP. Right, so what can be done as this can be given for SIM verification instead of sharing the 12-digit biometric ID. Right, so what happens, like a temporary OTP, you can serve it, you can get your activation done, and in that case you are not giving away all your details. Having said that, next one is that the sex ratio at birth in Haryana rises to 914 girls. One of the poor states in terms of the metrics in sex ratio, guys. Please understand, sex ratio is how many women are available for every 1,000 men, right? And for this case, the sex ratio in Haryana used to be about 871 in 2015, and in 2016 it had grown to 900 and about 2017 and 2018 beginning it came up to 914 girls for 1,000 boys. So please remember about the sex ratio, because the numbers are very important, guys. Sorry for going a little fast, Meghna. We will go a little slow. Please remember, quickly mark sex ratio in Haryana used to be 871 in 15, 916 and 914 in 2017. Next important thing, guys, Himmatpur village in Punjab, Bathinda district who has the 5th lowest sex ratio in the state. Please remember, they have used women nameplates. Women nameplates is a very important thing, because outside the houses, instead of using the man's nameplates to promote the empowerment of women, we will have women nameplates. That means the women's names will be put up. So instead of having said Ranjit Kapoor or having Ranjit Singh, they will now have it just said as Baldeep Kaur or something like that. Right, so this will help improve the district sex ratio, because the more importance given to the woman means more empowerment happens, and thereof people start accepting women in the society, not just for the case of childbirth or for making them do work, but also as an integral part of the society. Next one is the TOT route. The TOT route is very important, guys. It means toll, operate, transfer. It's not build, operate, transfer that you learned in school, BOT. No, it's TOT. And India's youngest state, Telangana, is the first state government to take up this asset monetization. Now, let me clearly make you understand what is TOT. Existing roads that are there or new projects that have been completed, the government asks private bidders and other companies to make them pay a lump sum money. For example, let's say as of today, they want to have the private entities pay about $1 billion, or they have refurbished the laws and made them pay little less than $1 billion, and they tell the private companies, why don't you take up this road, why don't you collect toll and gather all that money. So for a particular amount of time, let's say about 30 years, they could do it. But the government has redone it by saying that because of having $1 billion as a lump sum amount that has to be deposited by the companies into the government, what has happened is that a lot of people are not able to pay that money. Indian companies cannot bid because most of them don't have that kind of money, right? Or else they'll have to take a loan from the government, and taking loan from the banks is not a great idea after our dear Nirav Modi and our dear Vijay Mallya has messed up as much as possible. So what they have done is that the toll, operate, transfer initiative has opened the transaction, and then they have also started bidding out roads of different highways. Now all it is called is an asset recycling model. That means something that has already been built, what happens is the government tries to make maximum money out of it. Now what is good for the government is that they get a lump sum amount of money up front, and then they don't have to care because these private companies will take care of collecting those tolls. They don't have to have hired, or they don't have to make sure that there are government or contract employees there. The private companies will take care of it. So please remember, TOT is toll, operate, transfer. India's youngest state, Telangana, is the first state government to take up the asset monetization, and it has appointed transaction advisors for Hyderabad Outer Ring Road. So now when you pay a toll, please understand you are not going to pay it to the government. You are basically paying it to whom? The private companies. And the private companies have already paid a lump sum amount to the government. Now the important thing next is the world's largest solar thermal plant. Again guys, largest because tallest is very important for us. The world's largest solar thermal plant, solar thermal power plant, now has been given approval by the South Australian government. Now the construction on the 150 megawatt Aurora plant, guys, please remember it is given approval by the South Australian government. So basically it is going to be in Australia, right? The world's largest solar thermal plant. Moving on guys, the Nepal will use Chinese internet bandwidth. This is important because please understand why do we care about the Chinese internet bandwidth is because as much as China gives you an internet bandwidth, they are also able to collect the details, and Nepal is a country which is close to India, which is important because India also had a monopoly in giving internet access to the Himalayan country. Now two things that we have, one is we have lost our control on the particular country of Nepal, and second thing is that if Chinese get access to the Nepal data, it can also lead to it getting access to close by Indian neighboring states. So please understand the companies here that is there is Chinese Telecom Global CTG teamed up with Nepal Telecom, and it provides an alternate cyber connectivity to Nepal. So India also can give its connectivity, but please understand Nepal has become a competitor. Sorry, China has become a competitor. Are we able to understand guys? Moving on to the next one is Rizhao. Rizhao is China's indigenous missile frigate, right? If it's a frigate, means it's a very simple thing. It's an indigenous made vessel or a ship. Rizhao is equipped with advanced weapon systems and has the capability to attack enemy ships and submarines alone or along other naval forces. So Rizhao is a very important name. It's a China's indigenous missile frigate. Right, having moved on guys, quickly let's go to two more slides. Right, let's go to two more slides. The first zonal railways to procure drone cameras. The Western Central Railways, please understand, the Western Central Railways with the headquarters in Jabalpur, very very important guys, has become the first zonal railways to procure drone cameras. Drone cameras means this will make sure that they will go around the places across the railway stations, across where the train is moving, and actually capture data and feeds on live basis. And this will not require for human intervention because it becomes easier to control these drones via automation. Right, let's quickly go to the next one guys. Gujarat has topped the logistics performance index chart. So among the 22 states, Gujarat is followed by Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra on the index. Logistics performance index. Right, the report, now who is releasing this report is also very important. The Union Minister for Commerce and Industry releases this report. Obviously, when it is to do with logistics and business, the Union Minister for Commerce and Industry will be releasing it. Right, it is very very important for these things guys. Top of the list, 22 states. Gujarat is followed by Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Maharashtra. And also please note that these are the states which have the highest amount of business happening. Gujarat, a lot of business hub. Punjab has a lot of agricultural things that are happening there. Andhra Pradesh is very high on the IT industry. Karnataka is the IT capital. Maharashtra, a lot of business that happens there. Among the union territories, Daman and Diu occupied the top slot. And among the hilly states, Tripura was on top, followed by Mizoram and Meghalaya. Guys, these names are important. Just remember the top states in each of these cases. And also remember who has prepared this report. Why 22 states? Because certain states will not participate because they have got nothing to do with logistics index. Logistics movement has to be above a particular point. For example, certain states like Kerala may not want to participate. Only reason being that too much of business does not happen there. Logistics movement happens in mainly manufacturing states. So what you can see is maybe that, you know, Haryana would be a part of it. Tamil Nadu might be a part of it. Right, going on to the next slide is that AIIB plans to issue US dollar bonds this year. Please understand guys, India is the second largest shareholder of a bank called as AIIB. Now this AIIB is called Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Now let me tell you something very funny and interesting. US, because it apparently wants to take care of the Asian countries, started off something called as ADB, Asian Development Bank. And where is it headquarters? I told you the only friend of US in the Southeast Asian countries is in Philippines. Therefore, ADB's headquarters will be in Philippines' capital, that is Manila. So now what has happened? China has made a similar bank, AIIB. Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank exactly does the same thing, but please understand all the organizations or bodies started by China will have its headquarters either in Beijing or in Shanghai. AIIB, the headquarters is in Beijing, right? And India is the second largest shareholder in Chinese led AIIB, and now they have said that they have decided to issue its first US dollar denominated bond. A bond is basically the debt of a country or a company. Now it will give US dollar bonds with a minimum worth of USD 1 billion by June this year. So that is not important guys. Only thing to remember is AIIB is led by China. India is second largest shareholder, and the headquarters of, yeah, obviously first largest shareholder will be China only, right? Rajeshwaran, yeah, think about it. Will China give its first shareholding to anybody? right? So we'll do about one more slide, guys. There are about 60 slides, but we are on 45. I'm thinking you guys are tired, so I will probably push on to the next one. But having said that, guys, look at the slide. Delhi and Punjab, richest states, and Jain community is the wealthiest community. So Jains are the richest religious community with more than 70% of the population in the top quintile. And among the major states, people in Delhi and Punjab are the richest with more than 60% of the households in the top wealth quintile. Bihar is the poorest with more than half of the households in the bottom wealth quintile. Right? Are we able to understand, guys? It is 8:54 now. I will do another 3 more minutes, guys. Just 3 or 4 more minutes, because I'll touch at least 50 slides, guys. Just 5 more slides. Hold on. I will leave you off in another 3 more minutes. Right? India's first FDI in fertilizer sector. Please understand, FDI is foreign direct investment. That is when a company from abroad comes and buys another company in India or starts its own business directly. Right? So Norwegian company that is from Norway, the fertilizer giant Yara International, has announced the completion of its acquisition of what? Tata Chemicals urea plant. So when it acquires Tata Chemicals urea plant, what has happened? It has made the first foreign direct investment in India with respect to the urea or the fertilizer sector. Having said so, guys, the next one is SpaceX. We know our famous and the most happening businessman in the world. May say a guy is Elon Musk. Elon Musk, with his SpaceX technology, the owner also of Tesla cars, now has set to launch Falcon Heavy, the world's most powerful rocket. So what happened is, once it had attempted it and it had failed, now what has happened is SpaceX has launched once again, and by February you will come to know they had made a successful attempt in building the largest ever spaceship, and this will also help in making space travel private. So it has only attempted recovering a single core. So what I said is that as of now, the first shot they were not able to do it successfully, but in the second shot they successfully launched all the rockets into the space and they landed the particular jet. Right? Having moved on, we will do the last 2 slides, guys. Important Pratyush. Pratyush is India's fastest supercomputer. Okay, Pratyush is India's fastest supercomputer and it is made by the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. Right, Pratyush is the 4th fastest supercomputer in the world and it follows the machines in Japan, USA and UK. No, Keshav, I don't have a Tesla, but I speak like a Tesla. Moving on, guys, to our 50th slide, also important about the Zuma mission, again with SpaceX. Zuma is a mission which is classified and it is for the US government. They have not told it out as to where the particular mission is going or what is it for, but it is specifically for the US government and it is being done by the SpaceX. And please also know that, guys, Northrop Grumman, they ask such kind of names once in a while. Northrop Grumman is the maker of the payload. So payload basically, guys, is the whole thing that you're talking about. If it's a missile payload, I'm talking about the whole missile body. So similarly, Northrop Grumman is the maker of the payload of the rocket, means the rocket is made by Northrop Grumman. Right, guys, now I'm done with the 50 slides, guys. There are about 13 more slides, which I think I'll connect with the next session because I don't want you guys sitting through this. Right, thank you so much. This is all for it today. We'll finish up the slides. Don't worry about it. And I'll also share the slides with each of your groups. Please give me your reviews on the comment section. Comment section. Of course, Atika, I will give you your slide, the 9th slide as well. Guys, not on the, it is not, I don't want you guys giving me the comments here. I want the comments on the particular YouTube video so that we are able to review it. The team wants to review it and make sure the classes are okay. Please give me a call. If you have any sort of doubts, the numbers are there. Please look at the number. It is all there. Please WhatsApp me. I will send you the slides. The next session will be very, very soon, guys. Maybe in a day or two's time. It might be